Hi guys, welcome in. It's been so long since I made a YouTube video, and I just kind of wanted to get my feet wet again, like see what's cracking. Let's jump right in. I'm going to talk about what's going on in my life right now, what I'm focused on. And I was really interested in a number of things lately, but more importantly, I just love connecting with people and understanding more about how they see the world. And I knew that if I had a successful YouTube channel, then I would be able to do that all the time, where you get to see just in your comment section how people see the world. And I feel like while there's a lot of garbage on the internet, there's also a whole lot of truth. And I thought that would be such an awesome opportunity. So it's been a 12-year psychotic journey of self-discovery for me. And after all that time, I've gotten things whittled down, right? Because I had really bad sleep for a whole lot of it. And when you don't have energy, it sucks. But it also means that you have to start getting really careful about where you choose to spend that energy. I went through all of these different phases of learning and discovery. And so I got into meditation and I got into breathing and I eventually got into yoga. And I started changing up my diet, eating less meat, and I started getting into self-development and therapy. It was a lot. It was a lot. And now there's so much out there that it can just get overwhelming, because the question is, with all of this information out there, like, what do I do? And the answer is to set your goal and start somewhere. You can do research, you can ask friends, you can look around, start somewhere. Here's the really interesting thing about it, is after all of that development and all of that therapy and all the things that I've been trying to optimize, my focus kept moving further and further inside. And I fully cut with the idea that if you build a beautiful inner world, it has to reflect outside. But with all of the different tips and tools and strategies and meditations and things that I learned, I've come down to a few things that now are just the single most important developing factors of my entire life. So the first one is intimacy. And I know that a lot of the time, specifically in the United States, we think of intimacy as being like very linked with sexuality and like being close with somebody romantically. And it can be, but it doesn't have to be. And in fact, my issue is that I figured out that I hadn't had a truly intimate friendship since I was about 17 or 18 years old. And I'm 44 now. That's a long damn time. What I did do is I took all of my intimacy and I bundled it up into my romantic relationships. And I've had 3 relationships for the majority of that time that were the biggest ones. And that's where all of my intimacy went. And it wasn't to say that I didn't have friendships, but there's a lot of different ways that you can define intimacy. The single way that I'm going to define intimacy is to see somebody and to be seen by somebody. And when that happens, there's intimacy going on. When I started figuring that out from friendship and from really different areas, like cuddle parties. I started going to those and figured it out there. And I realized I was just like, yo, my relationship as a whole is going to change and shift entirely if I get this component right over here. And so I don't know if y'all notice, but making friends as an adult kind of sucks. There aren't so many people who are emotionally available, for that, or mentally available for that matter. And so I started making the decision that I was going to become a good friend and start finding good friendships. And it's taken time, but it's been so rewarding, and I've had to get childlike again. Really like, would you be my friend? And putting myself out there and trial and error. And it feels a whole lot like dating. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 times meeting with somebody and it's not really a vibe, or they don't have time for you, or they're busy with kids and a job and a life or so. But here's the thing with something that's going to pay dividends for the rest of your life. If it takes time, so fucking what? It takes time. Great. Take the time, craft it, appreciate it. And before, I had some near misses where I would meet up with people, maybe exchange numbers, like a kid's father. I have kids, and so sometimes you meet up with the parents and it's awkward, but sometimes you see a cool parent and you're like, hey, maybe they could be my friend. And I did that, and sometimes it didn't work out. And now the process is slowed down where I have more friends showing up and more relationships with those friends deepening, but it's a process. And I was talking to my fiance the other day, and she was just like, one of the things that really changed the friendship game, because she's like my friendship coach. She has really like got me back into the world of friendship. And she was just like, before, a lot of the times with friends that we met at school and we weren't friends with them for years. And it was just through that process of like continuously bouncing off of each other or being near each other or running into each other in class or so that you figured out something about the connection between the two of you. And now a lot of the times as adults, if something doesn't work immediately, we're just like, yeah. So that's the big one for me, is intimacy. And every time that I figure out a way to find a little more intimacy with my kids, with my friends, with colleagues, with my relationship, it's so damn rewarding. It's a vibe. The second one that I'll just touch on shortly is having fun. And I was busy optimizing, I was in therapy, I was working through my trauma, I was working through generational curses. All awesome stuff. All awesome stuff. Nothing but my highest love and respect for it. If you're not having fun, what are you doing? Now, I know you all want to say, well, Garrett, life isn't about fun. You've got to get serious, and you've got to get the work done, and you've got to get the different things taken care of. And these kids, they ain't going to raise themselves. I hear you. I got checklists, man. I've got certificates for grinding myself into dust. It didn't help. And so let me just say shortly, if you have a big goal that you're working on and you need to sacrifice for that goal so that, 6 months, 7 months, a year, 2 years, like you don't have as much fun as you would before, or maybe you're just a little bit stressed, you just had kids, a lot of the time with a baby is not necessarily fun. You're tired, you're stressed, you're making sacrifices. I get it. We cannot let those sacrifices go on too long. Or We're going to get crusty. We're going to get depressed. We're going to get drug addicted, alcohol addicted. We're going to get uncaring. How many more does it need to take? Highest suicide rates in 20 years, highest levels of addiction in 20 years, highest levels of loneliness in 20 years. This isn't all COVID's fault. And we have to take these peaceful times to develop and really fall in love with ourselves so that when these hard times come, like a COVID or a death in the family, this, that, either, that we're ready to handle it with grace. Fun and intimacy, friendship, these things are just as important as work and career and family and children. We've got to craft them. We've got to practice them. And that's what I figured out. And so it's difficult because the Matrix will not encourage you on these things. It's up to you most of the time. But once you get some momentum going, the algorithm, the universe, karma, the biggest algorithm of all, will start to respond to you. And it started to respond to me. I have friendships that are happening right now. I have intimacy that's happening right now. I'm starting to have fun again in my life for the first time in years. And that's where I'm at right now. You know, that's my entrance back into YouTube. Congratulations for everybody who stopped in for 12 minutes to hear me talk about what's cracking. And if you stayed in for that long, you might as well hit the subscribe button. Please. Might as well give me one moment of your time to see if it's a vibe. That's what I'm talking about anyway. I would appreciate it if you did subscribe, but I would also really love it if a question popped into your mind, in your head or your heart, while you were watching this video. Do me a favor, take a second and put it down in the comments. That's it, guys. I got these flowers for my birthday. Thanks, family. So nice. You know, men can get flowers now. It's a vibe. We're going to see you next time.